Welcome to The Better Life with Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston. Join Dr. Pinkston today as she teaches you how an integrative approach to health, combining holistic and contemporary medical information, can lead you to the better life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston.
Hello there. Good morning. I am so glad to be here, and I welcome you to my new show, yes, where I bring together an integrative and contemporary style of medicine. I've been doing this for 21 years here in San Antonio, Texas, and basically in the last 15 years or so have taken on a little bit of a different style to doing medicine. And I try to bring in, when you talk about the word integrative in medicine, integrative is where you try to draw in the best of contemporary medicine as learned in medical school and bring in also more of a holistic style, not so much natural. There's plenty of science behind feeding our bodies the right things like, nutrition and hormones and everything that, is combined with contemporary medicine together. And then we can make patients a lot more healthy. I think it's a very gratifying and wonderful style that patients are a little bit more open to these days. And I'm so happy to bring that to San Antonio. Today, I have a fantastic topic that I talk about 1,000 times a week with patients. And that is busting the myth of hormones and natural hormone replacement therapy. So when I discuss hormones with patients, oftentimes I'm met with patients who have heard many, many things from the internet, from other physicians, believe it or not. And I am met with a lot of myths that patients are scared and oftentimes turned away from hormones because they are, quote, unsafe, unquote. So hormones, if you think about it, are something that we make in our earlier years. So when you're in your 20s and you're at your absolute healthiest, or supposed to be at your absolute healthiest, your hormones are normal and functioning and you feel wonderful. You're full of energy, your brain is sharp, you're bright, you get up and get out of bed, your body functions well. And as we lose our hormones, so this begins in our late 20s, as we lose our hormones, that is when we begin to see some changes. Women will have their children, they lose their sex drive, our energy begins to fall off. For men and women, we begin to not sleep very well, stress gets to us more, we can't think. You walk into a room with your glasses on your head, where's my glasses? Things like that begin to happen, especially in the energy department and for women in the sex drive department. So if you think about it, there are many different types of hormones, things that people have heard of. There's a more contemporary style of taking medication by mouth. There is now a very popular style of creams and injections. And I want to go over a few of those things and explain to you why I have chosen the type of therapy style I've chosen. I have gone all the way in education on this. And the reason that I did this was around, I guess it was 2006, when we had the Women's Health Initiative, a study that came out that was really, we look back, very poorly done. It was based on Premarin, a hormone that that women take by mouth. It was made from horse urine, and it was only estrogen or estrogen combined with progestin, not real progesterone. And when women were taking these hormones, they noticed that there was an increase in the progestin and the estrogen combination. There was an increase in cancer. It went from 1 in 4 women to 1 in 3 women. So in my clinic, that is not a really big jump in numbers, but nationally, that would be a huge jump. Well, women were pulled off their hormones and stopped. And since then, we've had this idea that women should not take hormone replacement. They should only be on briefly or taken completely off. And I would love for us to go back and do a study and see if women now, have maybe developed more diseases or even died from being taken off of hormones. And I don't think anybody's going to do that study, but I would love to see what happened. So we've got to choose a safe way to do hormones. And if we use a natural version of estrogen and testosterone and even progesterone, not progestin, then you are giving back to your body what you were born with and what you make naturally and what you're supposed to have back when you were in your 20s. So if we replace the exact exact same molecule, then you should have the exact same outcome of feeling great, getting up, getting energy. I mean, we can't turn back the clock completely, but you can certainly take a 51-year-old person here, turn back the clock and make me feel 20 again. And I do. It is something that I feel really improved my life so significantly that I want to sit here and talk to you about it. So in your late 20s, as you lose your hormones, you lose your testosterone for sure, then you start to lose 10% of your muscle mass every decade. So by the time you hit your 50s, you've lost 30 to 40% of your muscle mass. You begin to gain weight because you have no metabolic function. Muscle metabolizes calories and fat. The other thing that happens too is you get into your late 30s as the sex drive falls off, relationships become affected, your work becomes affected. You start, you're too tired to go home and cook, so you go home and you buy food on the way home. Usually it's processed and not very good for you. So you get, you can see the outcome of all the fallout from not having your normal hormones. The relationship department is highly affected by that. You don't work as well, you can't focus, all of those things. So if we can take a natural hormone that is made from a potato, it is chemically structured exactly like what you made in your 20s and your young years, and we can replace that very easily, then you can see that you can have a return of your muscle mass and energy and sex drive, your brain, get rid of the brain fog, and have all of those functions back to you. The other thing is estrogen. So when women lose their estrogen going through menopause, your heart attack and stroke risk goes equal to that of an 80-year-old man overnight. And estrogen has over 400 protective effects on the cardiovascular system alone, not to mention testosterone and estrogen both reduce your risk of heart attacks and strokes and Alzheimer's. It also reduces osteoporosis, and yes, it reduces your risk of cancer. So do hormones cause cancer? No. Hormones, if you go back to your biochemistry book and you look through it, you cannot see any link to a cause. So if you have a breast tumor that has estrogen receptors on it, then you might use that, estrogen might grow it, but it will not cause it. It can't do that. So we use hormones to protect you and to prevent these outcomes, and we certainly don't cause that. If, you go to your doctor and they suggest a cream, which is also a natural substance and a very valid option, the only problem is your skin is a barrier. It's meant to keep stuff out, not put stuff in. So I can raise your levels, but I can't get your levels to where they're supposed to be. So let's talk about levels. So, testosterone is a male hormone, right? No, it is a male and a female hormone. So men's levels need to be 900 to 1200. Women's levels need to be 250 to 350. Most women I find are in their teens or 20s, sometimes lucky enough to get in the lower 30s. But that's not enough. And creams, I can raise you to about 100, but I cannot get you to the 250 to 350 range. And for you gentlemen out there who are going to these, places where you get the injections, what they are using is a synthetic version of testosterone. And in that synthetic version, you get a shot, and for a couple of days, your levels go up, but by the end of the week, they come down. And eventually, they might sail to a place where they stay as long as you stay on your shots. But you're using a synthetic molecule, and your body is going to make a lot more estrogen, which men need a little. They don't need a lot. And when you make more estrogen, your blood cell count goes up. You have to go get your blood drawn to bring it down. You make more estrogen, which is what makes you irritated and agitated. So for all you women out there, you're going to lose on this one, because when men and their estrogen go too high, or women too much estrogen makes people agitated, and that happens from a synthetic molecule. That does not happen. So what do I use with patients in order to, bring their levels up? So I use a pellet. It is a compacted form of a pellet. I meant to bring some and show everybody today, but it's a compacted form. It's the size of a very, very small capsule that you would take, even smaller than that. And they are injected right underneath the skin. It gives you a little bit of a numbing medication, lidocaine, if you can tolerate it. And then it's just a little shot. I just push them right underneath the skin. It doesn't go into muscle or bone or under any, neurological tissue or it doesn't cause any problems long term. And once that pellet, in men, it'll last 6 months. So it doesn't go up and down like an injection would. It goes up and it stabilizes for 6 months. In women, it goes up and it stabilizes for 3 months. So women do it every 3 months. Men do it every 6 months. And it's right underneath the skin. And once it disappears and is metabolized, it's completely gone. There is nothing left. So you're not left with some foreign substance, and it's not some foreign capsule or plastic or anything that's injected under the skin. It's completely natural, made from a potato, as I said. And so once that starts to deliver, it's mathematically done where we use height and weight and your levels. And I give you a mathematical dosage that brings your levels right where they need to be so that you get all of the full-blown great effects where you have energy again, your sex drive comes back. And sometimes it takes about 3 days. I've had men tell me they felt it the next day. I really don't think that that's the case. It may be a bit of a placebo, but you definitely in 3 days can feel a significant difference. And it can last up to 3 or 6 months. If you work out a lot, you might have to do it a little sooner, but we can always troubleshoot that. I have done this for 4 or 5 years myself, and I have done this on my patients, and I have had nothing but wonderful results. And I cannot say on air that it's a miracle, but in my life, I can say for me, it was a miracle. And it is the safety behind it. If you understand, this technology has been around since the 1930s, and there are thousands of studies, and all of them are safe. There's no downside. There were 2 studies that were mentioned that had some potential to, bring some negativity. But if you look at the study, it's not a very well done study. And it's from the 1950s and one from about 10 years ago. And they have not been found valid. They were asked to be retracted, in fact, from a national publication. So these are not valid studies. So thousands of studies, completely safe, technology since the 1930s. I have nothing but, sheer success with them. I have people lined up at my door in the morning when I drove up, said, Dr. Pinkston, I need my pellets today. So is it addicting? No, it's not addicting. It makes you feel normal. So I'm not looking to make anybody a superpower. I just want you to feel normal and sleep well. I have some patients who also get, and if this happens to me too, I have rheumatoid arthritis, and I have some patients who get pain relief. So some aches and pains and back pains and things. It's not a pain medication, so you can't expect that, but some people do feel a lot more mobile and a lot better. The other factors to think about is that if you're using something synthetic in your body, you're going to have to pay for that down the road somewhere. And I've had patients who have used synthetics in the past who have had heart attacks and strokes. And with the level of estrogen that, can be attained in the body, that of the wrong metabolized version of estrogen, not the straight regular estrogen, with that have had some outcomes maybe that could be associated. So I just don't recommend it. As far as cost goes too, really the cost is very balanced. It is not covered by insurance, which is the downside. So if you want a downside, I'll give you a downside. It's not covered by insurance. But if you look at the cost, so for women, it's $350. And you can look around in town. You don't have to necessarily come to me, but I charge $350, and I think it's very reasonable for the cost that I'm charged from the company. And that's about $2 to $3 a day, or about $100 a month. Yes, you have to pay all up front because I have to pay the company, but $2 to $3 a day. I just got through telling you, I stopped by to pick up food on the way home because I was too tired. And the cost of that was, $40 a day doing that, or ordering out now is even more. Or I would pick up a Starbucks coffee every morning and have to buy for the office too, right? So I would spend a lot of money. And that was my $2 to $3 a day I could have just put into my pellets. And so for men, it's $600. Well, they go 6 months. So it's the exact same cost, about $100 a month. So I just want for patients to understand that there is an alternative. Is it right for absolutely everybody? No, it's not. There are people who have had blood clots in their past. You can use hormone replacement with people who have had blood clots. There is even a way to do it if you've had some cancers, even breast cancer. There is a way to do it. You just need to talk with a professional, of somebody who really knows what they're doing and who understands it completely, that it is a very safe form of replacement. Does it interfere with other medications? No, there's no interference. I have people ask me all the time, I'm getting my COVID shot tomorrow. Should I do this? Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason why you should avoid avoid having it done. And I think if you think of it from a safety perspective, from an outcomes perspective of how well you feel, then I think you can understand that this is a great way to do your hormone replacement. So most of you know I have rheumatoid arthritis, and I lost 162 pounds. And I bring this up probably every show because it is a phenomenal thing to do. It's very difficult to do, but it was part of my plan. I had many, many tools in order to achieve that. And building my muscle mass was one of those tools that I needed in order to bring myself back to a place where I could exercise and get out of bed and do the things that I needed to do. I'm going to talk more about that here in the second half because I want you to come back. I've got a few things that I want to talk to you about in regard to hormone replacement. I think most of it is that I want to get across to my folks here of the safety and of the efficacy. And so I want to talk to you a little bit more about the types of patients that are good for this, and maybe there aren't any side effects, but a little bit about the safety and some of the things that you could expect from getting hormone replacement. So please join me on the flip side. Thank you very much. Welcome back. I have been talking about hormone replacement today, and it's a big controversial topic that really doesn't need much controversy, and it's met with so many myths, and it's so unfortunate because it is such a wonderful, wonderful thing for patients to improve their lives and their health and improve their safety overall, reduce your risk of heart attacks and strokes, reduce your risk of cancer, reduce your risk of osteoporosis. So one of the things I wanted to talk about again in regard to hormone replacement was the right type of patient. So if you are a female in your maybe mid to late 30s, that's where it begins for women. You're through having your children and you are beginning to feel the effects. Oh, I've got 3 children, I'm exhausted, and I'm starting to be affected in the bedroom. I'm not, I don't have a sex drive any longer. And for men, it can happen anytime, but men need to be done having children as well. And it's not that you have to be completely done. There are ways that I've treated younger patients as long as they understand that for men, there is a period of time that hormone replacement will wipe out their sperm count. And so you need to be prepared for that. If you are done having children, that is a non-factor. For women, if you are not pregnant the day that you get pelleted, then your baby will determine its sex long after the hormones absorb and are gone. It's best not to do that, but it is possible in case somebody accidentally gets pregnant. So I don't want people to be, scared of it. The other thing that I talk about with my young women and older women, you don't care about this, but for my younger women in their younger 30s who are done having babies, maybe had a hysterectomy young or whatever, hormone replacement, then there is occasionally a little bit of hair growth on the chin. But when you hit 40 and get over that, you're going to get it anyway. And all women over 40 know that. You will not grow a beard. You will not grow a mustache. No taking testosterone. You will not turn into a man. It's just not possible because the amount that we give you is replacement for what you made when you were younger. So I'm not giving you an amount that will cause you any, growth or alternative side effects. Large amounts of testosterone over a long period of time at higher rates could cause some problems. But that is really something that is being studied, and we really don't know the effects. We do know very, very well the effects of testosterone that is replaced at a correct level, which we do very mathematically. The other thing, too, is for women who have not had a hysterectomy, who get their estrogen. Estrogen is very safe. Estrogen does not cause cancer. Estrogen is protective. Remember, over 400 protective effects on the cardiovascular system. But estrogen, even in your own body, when you're making it naturally, will grow the inner lining of the uterus. So we have to give you progesterone, the real progesterone, in order to offset that. And if you look up progesterone online, you're going to see lots of things about weight gain, depression. That is progestin. That is in the birth control pill and through the pharmaceutical industry, not progesterone through a natural compounding pharmacy. So women will have to take progesterone also, but it's one of 3 hormones. So if you look at your, bone structure and your bone strength, estrogen grows bone, progesterone maintains it, and testosterone makes it stronger and grows it some. So you do need all 3, and that is what we do. We replace all 3, and we balance you. So I, have really wanted to get across today that hormone replacement being unsafe is a myth. And that there is, a danger behind it. When you do it naturally, there is not a danger behind it as long as you are followed by a physician who has well studied and knows what they're doing. If you go to one of your doctors, maybe an endocrinologist, an OB-GYN, or another primary care, and they say hormones are unsafe, that is not the truth, and it's not their fault. I don't bash any other physician's advice to you. But I think it's the same thing that I experienced when I went through medical school, is that we are just not taught about natural hormone replacement. I had to learn all of this outside of medical school. So it's not their fault, but just talk to somebody who knows. And I would love to sit down and talk with you about that. I do offer a free consultation if it's just in regard to hormones. Your labs can be done under your insurance. It's very easy. And then that day you come is just the cost of the pellets. It's very, very easy. So I'm happy to help anybody that has any questions out there. So I want to take a minute to talk about my sponsor, and Dolce Beauty and Laser. So Lisa Trinquire out there is one of my good friends and owns the spa. And we had a party this weekend, had a great time. We're going to have a party coming up in the next few months. Please watch my Facebook and Instagram and website for any information. If you want to find out more about me, please go to drpbetterlife.com. And you can also find me at pinkstonfamilypracticesa.com. My clinic is in Northwest San Antonio, almost West San Antonio, at Shaenfield Rd and 1604. And it's Pinkston Medical and Wellness. We are at 10865 Shaenfield Road, Suite 1101. My number is 210-698-7825. You can call anytime. Jennifer is my office manager, and Alyssa and Liz will take your calls and get you scheduled if you ever want to come see what we're all about. And Dolce can be found at 210-686-0505. They are at 6865 Camp Bullis Road. She provides a lot of facials and lasers and wonderful stuff for weight loss, and also Botox and fillers. Bianca over there is wonderful. She does a great job with all the fillers. She has more experience in this town than any doctor I would put her up against. So I want to thank you today for listening in on hormones, and we will be talking about a lot of great and wonderful things. I plan to go over some supplements next time for chronic pain. So join me next week, and I hope everybody has a wonderful and blessed week ahead of them. Thank you very much.